Good morning.
Hi, cutie pie.
All right, now I'm Chatone, and
And
that's Morgan, and I'm a
I
little scared. I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared this morning because
why are you scared, baby?
because I don't. Can I trust you? Can I trust her?
Baby, of course you can trust me. Of course you can. I mean, I know
So
it can be a little different. All right.
yes, she said we're going to talk about the wedding, which I agree. I mean, does anyone know that like my baby girl got married? Can't stand it. It's so good.
And it was such a beautiful moment. You know what I mean? Because all of our episodes that we've had previously to this were, a little bit more formal. But today we're talking about your baby. We're
Yeah.
talking about how amazing this wedding was and everything leading up to it, and how the different parts of your life that come in and out, and how we kept you grounded throughout the whole thing. So
And I
this
think, I think one of the things I like about this, I mean, of course, I want to talk about my girl,
Mhm.
Caitlin. But Morgan, one of the things that I think is kind of cool is that in midlife, we have these big moments, and how do we deal with the bigger moments so that we don't kind of go off the rails? And so that's what we're talking about today. Y'all ready for this?
Y'all ready for this?
Let's do it.
What even was that? Oh, you're like, okay, go. And I'm like, but wait, where am I going? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and start right here. So when you think back to the wedding, baby girl, and to that whole weekend, what's something emotionally that you prepared yourself for that ended up surprising you or stretched you in a way you really didn't expect it would?
Um, that's so interesting. Um, as a coach, I always feel that I'm ready for stuff. Like I'm always like, I'm ready. I have all my plans. I've got my list. And I mean, I did have list after list after list. Most people would do everything, if you're planning a big event, in 2025, you're going to have everything kind of in a electronic format. I did
Mhm.
go old school and I had a big book that I carried with me on top of using my my e-list. But I think the thing was that I was determined to stay grounded. I was determined to have an intentional moment to be in control of the day as much as possible. Where most people are like, okay, I'm just going to be present and that's it. But the present had to be a little bit, the presence had to be a little bit controlled for me so that I could be grounded for my girl because I knew that she was going to be nervous. And I knew her father was going to be nervous. And I
Right?
knew that my dear new son, my bonus son, was going to be nervous. And I didn't want to show up that way. I didn't want to lose myself in the day. So one of the things that I did, what I think is different is that, we were late. It is what it is. And that kind of made me a little bit crazy. And I had to keep going back to how am I going to make it okay for her? How am I
Mhm.
going to make it okay for her? How am I going to continue pushing forth my intention? And again, one of the reasons why, when you said, let's do this episode, I agreed is because I do think that we have to, like as women in midlife, especially, we do have to, and as moms especially, we do have to carry forth, like push the ball in the direction that we want it to go for our families. And we have to know that for ourselves first. So for me, I think it was the fact that it wasn't something that really stretched me, like that specific that happened, but it was more about how do I really stay in this present moment with the intention that I have, even when stuff started going wrong and started like unraveling. And I'm like, no, 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 no.
Everything is working out for me.
Yes, yes.
Everything is
Yes,
working out for me.
And can I get the bride ring?
Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me.
Hey, what? You see all them cars?
Everything is working out for me.
Because even as moms, have you found, like, I know, like, a lot of times our whatever energy we're giving off, like,
Exactly.
can push onto other people. And so if they're already nervous and they're already, in a frantic state, we need to be that calm for them. We need to pull
Yes.
them back. So, but that by doing that, we have to make sure that we are centering ourselves, right? And I know that you did a lot of different work before that to make sure you can pull yourself back, didn't you?
Yeah. So again, as an EFT practitioner, we don't just jump on this podcast and talk about this stuff, And I mean, Morgan, you asked me that, you know exactly what stuff I was doing, right? And it wasn't just like the day before. It was weeks leading up to this because there was a lot of things that were not perfect that I would have wanted. And yet the most important thing was my daughter, Katelin, Cherie, and Anthony DeMar were going to get married. And to me, these young adults made this big, powerful decision. How can my husband Mark and I underscore that for them so that it can be beautiful? That's all that mattered to me. Of course, it was under God. It's a union, it's a vow, but it was so important to me that we could help them to carry that through. So that meant I sat on a lot of my emotions,
Mm.
which is crazy because we believe in emotional freedom, but I couldn't always do that. I had to sit on a lot of my words. I had to sit on a lot of my feelings. I had to really hone self-control so that I could remain peaceful. And that also meant hiring a new therapist halfway through this because I needed to make sure that, again, it's not just about what I know to do because I've learned it, but sometimes you have to practice it anew. And having that little tweak, it's like a little tune-up that I had by hiring someone new. Everything I needed. Shout out to that girl. It was exactly what I needed so that I could be present in the right way.
And that's what we have to do. We have to remember to take care of ourselves once again. And like you said, it's just those little moments that we take for ourselves and taking the extra time and making the effort to say, you know what, I know this is coming up. How can I mentally prepare
Yes.
myself for this so that when I am in that moment, I can be successful with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to another question. Let's talk about the dynamics of the family, right? So
Okay.
why do you think that like big life events seem to bring up so much like emotional noise in our minds and our
Right.
hearts?
Right. It's interesting because it's weddings, it's funerals, it's
Mm.
births, reunions. When big things happen, there's a lot of noise. I remember and I mentioned this, I think in our episode, I just felt like running. In that episode, I talked about my TT Bev, so, who passed during the pandemic.
Um,
And Mark and I were really like her kids. She didn't have any children, but Mark and I were like those designated people. And I knew that I needed to create her funeral because it was over Zoom a certain way. When I tell you the amount of people that came in and were like, I'm doing this, we're hiring this person to do that. And I'm thinking, you're going to hire someone to make a movie and I make movies for my TT, like for real right now. And
mm,
yet, again, I sat on my hands. I'm like, I'm not going to make this a war
mm,
because it's too important a moment. And so I think people bring all of their noise, their assumptions, their stories, they bring all their past, they bring their journey to the room, to the event. And because of that, it's like a big ball that starts small and then starts rolling. So someone has to remember. And I think it's many people that in the moment can remember, wait, what is the real goal here? Oh, someone was
there you
born.
go.
Oh,
Mhm.
someone's getting married. Oh, somebody passed and we're all sad. Or, people are getting together and everyone wants to have their name big and bold on it. But what is the real goal of what we're doing? In the case of TT Bev, I don't like winning and losing. I think that those are really they're words that make us smaller as opposed to bigger. But
Mhm.
I won because they basically wanted to do this movie, and I didn't say that, but they wanted to do this movie and hire some videographer, like just a guy. And I'm thinking, then they came to me and they were like, it's this is much how much money each person is paying. And I thought, now picture me paying a stranger to make a video for my precious second mom when I
Mm,
could do it better and the way that it should be done for free. So
mhm,
then I had to pitch and say, listen, I understand that you actually want me to pay to do something that I do well.
mm.
I don't actually foresee me doing that. In fact, I'm not doing that. But why don't we, and for free, I'll do it. And I promise you, you're going to love it. And they stepped back. So there are times to sit on your hands and not say something, and there's times to speak up and make sure that what needs to happen so that you can continue to push forward what needs to happen. But there is peace and there is joy. And even in that moment where there was a funeral, there was joy. Like we sat on Zoom that day for like 3 hours, everyone's celebrating a life. And so I think, again, remembering why we're here. Why are we here? And kind of remembering that helps to bring the intention forward. And I just want to say the last little thought there for that one is that I know that this time of year, millennial moms, Gen X moms, baby boomers, you're saying goodbye to your kids in many different ways. Graduations,
Yeah.
they're going
Oh,
to college, they're getting married, they're moving out, they're moving on, and we can really like project all of our energy, all of our fears, all the
yeah.
things they think they're going to fail on, and all of our baggage and our history from our journey that we're like putting forward onto a kid. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't put your fears on someone else when they haven't even started yet. It's so unfair.
When you were talking about all of this, it made me think about how we do tend to make it about ourselves. This is happening to me. This is about me. Like, this is the role I'm supposed to be playing in this. And so many times we do forget the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It was the person that you loved. That was, you were celebrating in that moment in time, but you celebrated her with your love and your affection and things like that. So, as far as the graduations and weddings, girl, last year when Devaris graduated from high school and college simultaneously, that was the craziest moment in time because nobody had prepared me mentally and I hadn't prepared myself mentally for such a big event to be taking place, right? And then knowing that I hadn't experienced graduating from college or anything like that, so then there's all of those emotions. So when you're talking about projecting your fears, it's like, well, what is this going to happen? What's going to happen here? Where are you going to go? What's going to da 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 da?
And it's like churning, churning, churning. It's like,
Yeah.
stop, stop.
Yes. Like, just let them enjoy the moment
Yes.
because it's about them, and honoring them in their moment in time. It's hard, but it's such a beautiful thing to do when you see them take it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like with Kate and Anthony at the wedding, to see the looks on their faces, that alone, like Chatone, the look on his face when she was walking down the aisle. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But I remember you told me a story about the charger plates that you brought to the reception. And honestly, girl, that stayed with me for a second. So why don't you tell everybody about that?
All right. So, Morgan, I haven't actually brought you up to date that the charger plates have been found.
Where were they?
The charger plates have been found. So let me just first say that, I've done many events in the past for corporate and I did huge, like this is like a small event, less than 100, like 150 people there, right? This is a small event for me. I've done events with almost 2 grand, 2,000 people from, I don't know, 15 countries. Like we did big events when I was in corporate. So this was a small event, but it's my daughter. So there's a lot of emotion with this event. And this is a corporate event. Who cares, right? No one's going to remember that. But this is her day, right? So one of the things that I learned to do early on, and I'm like this, I'm sure you've received many boxes from me, and you can attest to the fact, how do I label a box? It's going to have Morgan Boost on the front. It's going to have Morgan Boost on the back. It's going to have Morgan Boost on every side. I don't play. I don't want the post person to just get the box. I don't know who this is for and put it in a sack somewhere. You will see that person's name on every side. It takes a little bit longer. It's going to be, and watch this. Then I'm going to tape on top of it to laminate the name as well. I am that anal. Lose 1 or 2 packages and you don't forget to do that. So the charger plates, everybody had a charger plate, but for the bridal party and for the bride and groom, we had special, really gorgeous charger plates. And if anyone, for some reason, you're like, what in the world is a charger plate? That's that big plate that all the china goes on top of, right? So it adds decor to the table. And so I put the charger plates that the hotel was going to put on all the tables, labeled it very well. Right? I mean, you and I went, we dropped it off the day before, and I didn't think about it again.
Yep.
But I didn't have to because I literally said on table number 4, there's 10 charger plates for table number 4. For the sweetheart table, for the bride and groom, there's 2 charger plates, and it was literally labeled like crazy. So now here's what happens. They got lost. Now they didn't get lost when we brought them. They got lost when we left. And I know I handed this box to someone. I don't remember who. I thought it was my son or your son. I'm not sure. But then somehow by the time we got home, gone. Absolutely gone. I will skip to the end, which is amazing. I literally got them back yesterday.
But where were they?
I have no idea how, and I'm not going to point a finger at one of our kids because I'm sure it was one of our kids. They were in my daughter's car.
did they get to Kate's car? Out of all
I have no idea. So she picked me up yesterday. I take the train from DC. She picked me up, and after my first time really seeing her, and there they are on her back seat. I said, I know you got to be lying. Why are my charge plates on the back of your seat? So it was a fella, because they were heavy, some young fella in this wedding party, some lovely groomsmen, but that's fine. Here's the thing. When I saw the box, and I reminded myself, because then I went and did we cleaned all the charger plates, and I was doing all the washing up last night. Looking at the box, I said, you know what? I have to save this box because it reminds me of the metaphor of how important it is to claim what you want. It was such a big metaphor when I see how I do boxes written all over the site, exactly where it goes, exactly what my name is, exactly the name of the event, my phone number, email, like everything was labeled. And it hit me that sometimes the reason why we lose things, on this case, it didn't get lost because it got lost because somebody put it in a car. And then the kids went on a honeymoon and it was sitting at the airport for a week. That's a different story. But sometimes as people, we forget to label what we want. We forget to label and save what's most important. I know, right? We forget to label things all the way down on every side. And then we forget what we actually want. And then no one respects it. So I was thinking about, if you don't own what your boundaries are, if you don't own where you want something to be placed, if you don't own and label what's most important, everyone can forget, and then you can forget, and the people around you don't even know, they ignore it. And go ahead.
No, and then you get angry because they're not acknowledging it. But it's like, how are they going to acknowledge something when they didn't even know it existed?
Exactly. And so it reminds me, of course, I'm really, really I had just given up that I was going to have them, I love those charger plates. It was really hard to find the perfect ones, and they were so perfect for the event. But the thing comes with us as well, like in life, what's your charger plate moment? What are you forgetting to label? Like, what do you need to label so that everyone knows how to respect the boundaries of, or remember that thing that you really want? In my case, I didn't want the hotel losing anything. So everything was labeled down. Okay, labeled down. Who ended up losing? Us. Okay, wasn't lost, but that's a side point. But I think it's so important with our own boundaries, with the things that we want, to label. And I think even coming back down to this event, I labeled my intention, and I couldn't do it alone. I did it through grounding up to the wedding.
Right.
My husband would find me outside in the driveway barefoot. I was grounding. I was like trying to stay in the moment. I had my therapist. I met with her. I made sure that I was ready for it. I tapped so much. Girl, I thought my finger was going to go through the side of my hand. I was like, what? Okay.
You're like, you have to switch hands because it's...
I made sure. But also, and this, before you came up from North Carolina, I was like, girlfriend, bring the box of oils. Bring them all. Bring all. You had your oils. I had my oils. I was like, we had it on cotton swabs. I made sure that whatever energy needed to be there, it was labeled. It was ready. And so that if I sniff this, baby. Okay, you good?
Just
okay.
Breathe in. But that doesn't make you selfish. Like, that's a really, really good reminder. And it doesn't make you selfish. It makes you safe. Yes. It helps you keep that internal peace that you're going through. And dude, like I remember what it took just to get there and show up with intention. You weren't the only one that was trying to show up with intention, because let me tell you what, when we left here from North Carolina and was heading up to Maryland, girl, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. The weather just decided, oh, we are going to have tsunami-like weather.
I was so scared. And y'all know on this podcast how I do with Morgan. I was tracking that little car on that location, inched along, and then I checked the weather. Pouring. Then I see the car inching along. I checked the weather. Monsoon. And I was just like, okay, is she going to make it? Yeah.
It was too much. And then on top of that, I had to leave work late. So we left super, super late. And then there was that, there was the rain, there was the storms. And of course, I wanted to be there to support you. So there was nothing that was going to stop me from getting there. Right. But I believed that in that moment, I had to I legit ask the kids, I had to stop. I pulled the car over. I was like, okay, we need to say a prayer. Yes. And I just need a second, because it was just too much. So then there's all the crazy weather and everything. And we legit got to the rehearsal because it was at 5:00. We got there right on time. I think you were pull up, right? Yeah, you were pulling up with me. And when I pulled in, I was just like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Like we made it. We're safe. We made it. And like now we can begin. But then after that, like the next day was a whole nother like excitement
Deadline.
but craziness because then we were trying to get everything ready at the reception hall and like drop stuff off. And then things went missing and things got like delayed and whatnot. And then the morning of the wedding, that was fun. because because at the hotel, like the things that were supposed to be set up previously, it wasn't. Like all the work that you had put in ahead of time to make sure that everything was where it was supposed to be didn't happen. Like we didn't have the napkins. The tables weren't even set up. They weren't even standing. So we had to set up the tables. Then we had to get the tablecloths and put it on. And I'm like looking at at Joel and Cindy and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like what are they doing? Like, what are the
Right,
people here doing?" So
right.
there was the anxiety and stress of that because now we know, like, we're really have to buckle down on this because we wanna make sure
Time
that
was
it's
running out.
yeah, and it's a beautiful moment for you, but most of all for Kate and Anthony, you
Yeah,
know? So we all, like, got together and we made it happen, and Tracy, oh my goodness, Tracy was amazing.
yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
So y'all, Tracy Mendoza was my decor professional, and she was our wedding coordinator for the weekends. And again, don't don't discount getting professionals to do
Mhm.
things where you need professionals.
Right?
I am amazing on planning an event, but I'm not your girl to decorate a room. That's not my that's not my it's just not my forte. That's not the thing I'm going to do the best at. And
Mhm.
I also knew that I wasn't trying to set up a room. And so I asked, like asking for help again, so that this was all very intentional. Morgan, you being there and being there when you got there, and me knowing that no matter what, you were going to get there meant the world to me. I mean, your children both stepped in really at the final hour to complete that bridal party. And that meant so much to the kids. It meant so much, to them, and it added an element of fun. In fact, one of the bridesmaids, who's one of the oldest bridesmaids, she's like
Well,
in love with Sequoia now. She's like, I love her. I want to adopt her. So it's like all of that came together, and I don't think it's about me. I do know that all the things I've talked about, but on top of being prayerful and
mm,
letting prayer guide what I was doing, um, lent itself to being, even though there was chaos, there was also a layer of peace. And um, there was a lot of madness at the hotel. We're not even done yet with the madness yet. We still are meeting on that. But I think that I did sacrifice a lot that day. I missed some stuff, but I didn't miss the most important things. I didn't miss her speech.
mm,
I didn't miss her video. I didn't miss her cutting her cake, but I missed some stuff because things weren't done. And it was really important to me that my guests felt like they were at a party, that my guests felt like they were at an event. And I have to apologize to you because I know the hotel got a little crazy, kept asking you questions. I don't know why they thought that they should ask you instead of me, but we digress. My intention for the day was peace. And I will tell you, anyone who's hearing my voice right now, if you go into any big event, I don't care what it is, sad, happy,
mhm,
exciting, new, fresh event, whatever it is, and you don't set an intention for yourself. And sometimes the intention you set is, I'm going to be mean mugging today. Like, I'm not
mm.
even saying you can't do that, because sometimes the event requires a mean mug. Like sometimes it's just that's what it requires. Okay. I don't know when exactly. I've never done that. Sometimes it requires that people understand, don't mess with me today. Whatever the energy that you bring into the event is going to make the event or that day different. So I think, Morgan, because you intentionally bring a lot of joy, you intentionally bring so much Morgananity, is that a word? You bring so much Morgan-ness to an
Mm.
event that, everyone just kept telling me, "Where'd you find her? Like, who is she? Like, where?" I'm not lying. Like, "Who is she?" I'm like, "That's my play daughter." You know what I mean? That's my little sister. Um, that's the mother of my little niece and nephew, because I needed them to know that you're family, even though they never met you before. It was really important. I think that even when things go wrong, if you decided and made a resonant decision that there's something that I want in this, you can
Mm.
make it happen. And those resonant decisions come from all that preparation. It comes from prayer. It comes from your mindset. It comes from things like tapping and grounding and being in your breath. It comes from being in association with people that are going to level up to your level of intention and not level you down, because sometimes you might, snap out for a second. You saw me and my sister go at it a little bit there, because it was high emotion, and my sister is the most important person next to my husband. So, she said something to me and I was ready, like, what are you doing? Because if she says something to me, I'm taking it immediately to heart. Other people will be like, whatever. But if she says something, so you saw that there was true angst in the house, you know what I mean? But at the same time, immediate forgiveness, immediate, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snap at you, kind of thing like that. So we could get back and level set. And you didn't see that part. That's the part that was happening behind the scenes.
Well, and that's like when I came with the intention that no matter what, everybody was going to enjoy this event. Like, I didn't care what position I had to play, what I had to do, if I had to take off my shoes and go running across the parking lot, if I had to take my hair out, if I had to scoop up my dress, like whatever it took. Like, I was going to make sure that you and Mark and Kate and Anthony, just the whole family, really, really got to enjoy that moment because of everything everybody went through to get there, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't matter if like we were handing out plates. It didn't matter if we were handing out gifts. It didn't matter what I had to do because it was about you. It was about Kate and Anthony. It was just about making sure that everybody got to enjoy
Yeah.
just this moment that's never going to happen again.
Never going to happen again.
So making sure that I just was so grateful. I was so grateful to even be there, and to be able to be a part of that. So to make sure, like one thing I did was go around and like take pictures of people when they weren't looking. That's
Yeah.
one of my
Those
favorite
candid
things.
shots are beautiful. Yeah.
And so I got a couple of you. I cannot wait to send them to you because they are amazing. And it's of you looking at Kate and Anthony and the way that your dress was draped off
Yeah.
your shoulders and this profile of it and the smile on
Oh,
your
shut
face.
up.
Well, it was tight. It was, let me tell you what, whew, it was beautiful. And I was just looking at you and I was like, oh my goodness, she is so beautiful because of the joy that you had in
Thanks
that
so
moment.
much.
It
And
was
I
just,
still do. It's like, people kept asking me that day, and again, I know that the audience is like, "What are we talking about here?" Look, we've all had these moments, and sometimes you don't. I believe in dissecting a moment. I really do believe in debriefing a section of life, because there's always going to be these lessons. And one of the ones for me was this idea that people kept saying to me, "Why aren't you crying?" Like, I think people want me to break down and cry. I was really surprised my husband didn't cry more. I think it's because we were late. And so he was so busy like being off the edge and trying to keep things calm. So he didn't cry until the reception. But the thing is that I wasn't sad. It didn't feel bittersweet. Or I guess it did, but all I kept saying was, these young kids are doing this thing.
mm,
And all I could think of is that my husband and I did something so similar, where a lot of people didn't get it. A lot of people, my own mom was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And not that she didn't approve of Mark, because she did, but she thought I was too young. And she was nervous that, like, what if you change your mind? Like, what if this isn't what you want? And I'm just like, Mark Morrison is what I want. Like, I can't tell you, but I can show you. And since next month we're about to celebrate 36 years, I think I showed her.
I think just it.
I think so. So here's the thing. We're going to go through things. We're going to be dealing with stresses. This summer, I think, holds so many things because so much stuff is happening. Again, my daughter will graduate next month. She just got married, 2 weeks ago. She, she just recently started a big job. She moved out. She's got a whole new roommate for life now. Like, all these things are taking place. And I think it's happening to all of us. Right now, my whole feed on all my social media is like weddings and births and, people becoming grandparents for the first time and sharing lives with each other. And those big moments, don't miss them. Like, approach them like it's the most important thing, because you'll look back, and if you didn't, you're going to be, the regret, the resentment, like, man, I wish I could have done this differently. And we all have that to some degree. There are things that I regret about that. Man, I could have done this differently. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they're married. And last I checked, when they got home from the honeymoon, very happy. And so, since we know that people are women that watch us are having moments like this or can look back on them, I thought we should do a little grounding. I know you're going to do some tapping that you prepared.
Sure.
I prepared a little grounding because I think that, again, starting out on the beginning of a week, maybe you just, had some things over the weekends, or, you're trying to like debrief from some energy that you have. Let's ground real quick so that we can release what we need to release and also really embody the things we want to embody. How's that sound?
Sounds great, baby. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So for those of you who have never done this with us before, the entire goal is to really let you release some energy, is to help you stay grounded. If you've never done grounding before, it is really to get some clarity to your moments and to let things go. So we don't believe in like this whole transcendental meditation type thing, because I believe in you keeping your mindset intact, but we can release things we don't need. So we're going to start by sitting, or you might be standing. We like to have both feet flat on the floor. If you want to have your shoes off, I'm kicking mine off right now. You can uncross your legs and let your arms hang loosely, or just kind of rest gently and just take a breath in through your nose, hold it, and then out through your mouth. So let's try that. And while you do that, you can soften your gaze if it's safe to do so. Again, you're going to be breathing in slowly in through your nose, exhaling out through your mouth. If you want, you can make an audible sound, something that might sound like, really letting your body know that you're giving your nervous system a moment right now, a moment of rest. We've been talking a lot of stressful things that happened in my life in the last couple of weeks, but that might be happening for you as well. We want to get you in a place where you're like, I feel grounded. So one of the things you want to do while we're doing this breathing, I'm talking to you, let your shoulders drop. They're not earrings. Shoulders are meant for the arms, so we're going to let them drop. Let your belly soften. You can take both of your hands, kind of interlace them and just place them on the belly. Let your belly be loose. Your belly is your friend, no matter what anyone tells you. That includes you, Chatone. Yes, it does. Let your jaw unhinge just slightly. Just slightly. Let your tongue rest at the bottom of your mouth, and then do the breathing again. So in through your nose. Hold. Out through your mouth. Now let's just do a very gentle body scan. And when we do a body scan, we're just kind of going through your body just to see how everything is feeling. Again, this is a way for you to communicate with your own body without words. It's a way for you to be present with your whole body. So first, starting at the top of your head, with each breath that we take, we're going to imagine yourself kind of sliding down through your body. So first, we're going to take a deep breath in. You're going to notice what's going on in your head. So in with your nose. Brush your forehead, relax your forehead. Think about your eyes. Relax your eyes right now. Again, you can soften your gaze if it's soft to do so. Soften your eyes. Breathe in again. Think about your cheeks, your neck. Does it feel stiff? You can kind of roll your head around like this. Then you can roll it back the other way. Again, be paying attention to your shoulders. You can look over your shoulder. Breathe in. Let it go. Look over your other shoulder, do the same thing. Breathe in. Let that go. Let your shoulders fall. As the calm moves through your arms, through your wrists, through your fingers, you kind of wiggle your fingers like this. Let that calm wash over you through your heart. Put your hands right on your heart or your chest. Breathing in, feel your breath. Think about the temperature of your breath right here. Everything should be gentle. Everything should be steady. Everything right now in this moment is yours. So pay attention to it. That peace again that we're invoking, bring that right down to your belly. And again, as midlife women, many times we don't have peace in this area. Maybe it's placing your hands on your thighs. Maybe it's on the side of your hips, placing your hands there. Being grounded. Thinking about your body, but not thinking about your body. Just being appreciative for the fact that you're here in this moment. You don't have to hold anything in right now. You're just going to breathe and remember that you're allowed to rest. As the calm moves through you and your hips, down to your legs, past your knees, to your ankles, you can take your feet and kind of roll them around a little bit, counterclockwise and then clockwise, all the way to the ground. Take another deep breath in, as deep as you can make it from that diaphragmatic breathing, really letting your belly expand. Hold and let it go. And as you exhale, whisper to yourself, I may come back to myself. I am grounded. I am held. I'm at peace. And I'm not alone. Now, when it feels comfortable for you after a few more breaths, you can go ahead and join me back. We're going to get into some tapping. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Morgan, what do you think about that one?
I like how you put the looking over your shoulder,
Isn't
because
that good?
that does a
Yeah.
whole different thing for your occipital ridge and your spine to release more of
Yes.
that energy in your back. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really good.
So
Look at
always
you.
kind of like add some little goodies in there. There is nothing like putting in some grounding and some breathing into your day. I don't know how long that was. I wasn't timing myself today, but probably less than 5 minutes. Give yourself the gift of 5 minutes. Bookmark this little section. Make sure you have it. You can always come back to it. I'll try and put the exact timing in the description box below so that you can go right to that moment. And if you follow my TikTok, a lot of times you'll find some of the groundings directly on there. Or Instagram, getting to after my TikTok is just positivity. And you'll see some of these right in there, just maybe like a 2-minute snippet where you can kind of go through some tapping or some breathing with us. So speaking of tapping, I know, Morgan, that you're going to do a little tapping with us. Before we go on, though, I do want to make sure that if you've been thinking about, I would like to try some of that grounding, but I may need some help. I want to make sure that you can always get a session with us, either in a circle with some other women or one-on-one with either one of us. Go to this link, bit.ly/tap-chat. We're here for you. So these are ways that you don't have to do all this work on your own, or if you're just learning, you can learn to feel really comfortable with it. And then also I want to make sure that you have our latest edition of the Getting After Easing. You just can go to bit.ly/G2A-spring, all capitals, came out about a month ago, and you can learn more about tapping, more about grounding. We've got some great downloads in there for you, some poetry, some fiction, some story from Morgan, like all the things that you need to really just vibe out this spring into summer. But for right now, we're going to go into a little tapping session with Morgan. So let's go ahead and do that.
So let's repeat after me. Even though sometimes I feel pulled in so many different directions during life's big moments, I deeply honor the part of me that wants to stay grounded and present. Even though I can feel overwhelmed or off center in the swirl of family and emotions, I choose to come back to myself gently again and again. Even though these special events can knock me off my mark, I honor how far I've come and how much I deserve to be fully here. Eyebrow point. This tug of emotions. Side of eye. So much to do, so much to manage. Under eye. It's hard to be fully in the moment. Under nose. When I'm holding so much for everyone else. Chin. And I don't always feel seen. Collarbone. This weight I carry even on joyful days. Underarm. This swirl of expectations and emotions. Top of head. And the pressure to smile through it all. Eyebrow. But I'm allowed to pause.
but I'm allowed to pause.
Side of eye. To feel my feet on the ground.
To feel my feet on the ground.
Under eye. To take a breath in the middle of the moment.
To take a breath in the middle of the moment.
Under nose. To give myself presence, not just performance.
To give myself presence, not just performance. Well, that's good.
All right. Chin. I can hold joy and truth at the same time.
I can hold joy and truth at the same time.
Collarbone. I am learning to stay with myself even here.
I'm learning to stay with myself even here.
Underarm. Even now.
Even now.
Top of head. Especially now.
Especially now.
Take a deep breath in. Slowly release. Now we're going to go into a round of affirmations.
Okay.
Starting with your eyebrow point, my love. I am grounded.
I am grounded.
Side of eye. I am intentional.
I am intentional.
Under eye. I celebrate without abandoning myself.
I celebrate without abandoning myself.
Under nose. I can stay steady even when it's essential.
I can stay steady even when it's essential.
Chin. I get to enjoy this moment.
I get to enjoy this moment.
Collarbone. Because I've earned this piece.
Because I've earned this piece.
Underarm. I am allowed to just be.
I am allowed to just be.
Top of head. And that is more than enough.
That is more than enough.
Let's take another deep breath in and out. And let yourself feel supported, fully grounded, and fully here. How did that feel, my love?
Very good. I mean, y'all, it was wonderful. Thank you, Morgan, for all of that intention you put into that. Thank you. I know that anyone who, and again, it's a Monday morning, if you've been through something this weekend, like do this one. And if you have something coming up next weekend, do this one. And throughout the entire summer, like do this one, because we're all going to have stuff that we have to face, and you can switch the words around. You can, integrate parts of your body, right, Morgan? Like where you're feeling that, what's the stress level attached to it. So, so good. I appreciate that one. I really, really do. We all have things that we're processing. You're not alone in this. We're here at Getting to After, not because you're leaping over stuff, but because sometimes it's in baby, incremental, teeny tiny steps. But when you know you're not alone, you can make it happen. And this is not as big as some of the things we talk about, like some of those really dark things that we talk about here at Getting to After. But when you're able to process through emotions, it's big.
Yeah.
And it's,
And that's the thing, like you were brought out, if you're about to go into a moment like this, we hope that today's episode really gives you permission to root yourself in what matters most, right? Not what looks good or what's perfect, but just really just to be yourself and enjoy the moment.
To tap along with us, you can always do so here every single Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. But you can also book time with us. You can go to bit.ly/tap-chat. You can go with either one of us or both, or you can join other women and do this. And, just for good measure, we'll throw in some pictures because my daughter was so pretty that day. Walk into your big events with as much wisdom, clarity, and resonant decisions as you can. Bring peace along with you if possible. If possible, bring a community with you. Don't approach things that may be difficult or challenging by yourself.
Yeah.
Because having even just one or two with you, I had some of my best girlfriends with me who love my daughter and see her as a wife and see her as who she's going to become. It was everything having that. So for you, stay grounded, stay joyful, claim your moments, do it with a little grounding, do it with a little tapping, and don't do it by yourself.
Please, please, please tell us about the moments that you've had and you're experiencing or about to walk into. Put it in the chat. We welcome you to join us next week at 8 a.m. on Monday mornings. We ask, subscribe, and like, and share with your loved ones. And we'll see you next week.
And we'll see you next time, guys. Bye. Mwah.